Good evening at 6 p.m. The best variety of gospel use of knowledge is power broadcast with Dr. Marseille Wells-Strozier. Information on how to reach Chia will follow today's broadcast. And now, here's your host.
Hello and good evening, listeners. I'm so glad that you have decided to join us on this beautiful Wednesday. Before I get started, I want to say hello, Al. How are you this evening?
I am blessed.
That is so great. I am doing wonderful.
Yes.
I like this cool weather.
Do you?
Yes, I'm almost ready to put on my pleather. Not leather, but my pleather.
Your pleather. I put on the long sleeve little shirt here. I got a little, but see, like I'm looking at Paul, right? Paul, earthly guy.
Paul's always earthly.
Hey.
He's grounding this week as well, listeners. I did say what grounding is, but you know, no shoes, no socks, no service.
Listen,
That's
I went
wrong.
to the pedicurist,
Okay.
and they looked at my feet and said, "Oh, you got to go hospital."
Oh, no service, no service. You don't come in no more.
You got to go hospital. I know I have tools.
That's wonderful when you can laugh at yourself. So, Paul, since you did tell us that wonderful personal story, how are you doing?
You know, I am fabulous and getting better.
Great.
I just got that from Donna Taylor, so when she hears this, she'll know where it came from.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who's Donna Taylor?
A young lady that hosts one of my radio shows.
Oh, okay. All righty. It's Al, you messing up my radio show
I know
tonight.
I am. Excuse me.
He's just too popular. He's just too popular. That's all that is.
All right, then, listeners, tonight we're going to be talking about time management, how to maximize your time in order to meet your full potential. If you want to participate in this call, please give us a ring-a-ding-ding. I kind of like that now, a ring-a-ding-ding, at 810-239-5733. Again, the number is 239-5733. Tonight in the studio, we have Miss Tulani Person. Tulani is a life strategist and empowerment speaker. She identifies barriers that causes people to become stuck in life. She discovered that living a life of existence causes individuals to believe that their life circumstances cannot change. As a certified John Maxwell Teacher, speaker, and coach, Tulani uses practical applications of John Maxwell's proven leadership method to mentor people to grow and maximize their potential. So, Tulani, I want to say thank you so very much for joining me on tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I am excited to
I'm
be
excited
in the
about
studio
you.
with you.
Yes, you do too sound alike now I hear your
You
voice.
hear it?
Yeah, I
Yes.
hear it right now. So, Paul, since Al left me, I want to tell you how I met this lady.
Okay, you can do that.
Alrighty, so I was at this house gathering for a tragic event, and this lady that I'd known for several years, who was a former co-worker, and she was a board member with the Center for Higher Educational Achievement, had introduced this lady to me as her sister. And she told me all these things about her sister. And I'm like, well, where has this sister been? Because, you know, I love the type of things she does. But your sister never told me anything about you until I met you that night.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know, when you're talking about empowerment, when you're talking about the secret, when you're talking about the law of attraction, the law of, detachment. Mm-hmm. This is the woman who knew what I was talking about.
Go on with your bad self.
Yeah. And it's rare to you find individuals like that.
I'm finding it's not as rare as it used to be.
Yes.
That's true.
Once you start talking about it and hanging out, you know, and just talking about it, you get a lot of head shakes and a lot of, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And that's what I've noticed the last 3 months in my life.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of the things, you know, even though the words are different, but if you look at the concepts and the principles, it still aligns to the Bible.
Yes, it does.
It still aligns to the Bible, but I think some people become afraid when the word change. You know, when the
Yes.
words change, it's almost like time. Nothing new under the sun. You know, it's
Exactly.
the same old stuff, just different players in the game, but it's the same old game. So a lot of the things that we're talking about it now is being awake. You know, I had this young employee, she told me she was woke. I said, what? I'm woke. Well, I hope you are. Yeah, she woke. Yeah, so, you know, the new word is, you know, enlightened or you're awake now. And it's no different than the scales have been taken off your eyes.
Well, I could I relate to woke being more Afrocentric and culturally
Oh, I find it to be past tense.
astute. You know
Yes,
what I mean? Then I read a book or two.
Yes.
Oh, that's what you find.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They realize that this is the Matrix.
Yes,
And they've been on
that is true. That is true. We are in the Matrix, but I don't want to get into that because, we'll get some callers talking about, no, we're not in the movie. However, I can't wait to Matrix. The new Matrix is coming out in 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the Matrix is a series. You have to play the video game on the PlayStation. You have to watch the anime series and all the movies to get the whole story.
Oh, I really do. Yeah.
You don't get the...
No, you do. That is true. There is a person I've spoke about before, Ralph Smart. If you ever heard of him, he's on YouTube. He's wonderful. He talks about the Matrix.
Okay.
And how we're actually our players in the Matrix. And that once we become enlightened and understand the games that's being put before us, we would know how to come out of that Matrix. It's no different than Robert Kiyosaki talking about the rat race. Working, paying bills, not living, not moving forward. It goes back to what he was saying, the rat race.
I call that the rhythm of rut.
The rhythm of rut. I like that one. So a lot of these things, they coincide with one another. So, Tulani, let's get into your topic because, like I stated, this time is going to go by so fast, and I already know I'm going to want you back on the radio show. So we're going to talk about time management, which is something that I pride myself on doing so well. So if you don't mind, can you give us a definition of time management?
Okay, first, when you look at time management, you can put that in the category of managing, your family or managing your career. But when it comes to yourself and that time that you were born, you were born for a specific time. We were all born for a specific time.
That is true.
With unlimited potential.
That is true.
So when you think of being born at a time with unlimited potential, what came with that was time. That's the even playing field for every person is time. And so that's the opportunity to live your life in fullness.
So that goes with that dash that most people say, what did you do between that dash? So from the time you were born, from the time that you are no longer on this planet, that dash is your time. How you manage that time is that dash. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I like that, Paul. You hear that?
So when you take,
it was radio. Yeah, I like that. I'm shaking my head. Whatever.
The video would see you doing that. Go ahead.
So when you take that time and manage it to be the best version of yourself, that's really putting a priority to set aside time for you and managing it to really grow. So for example, when you think of unlimited potential, I did not know that I was going to enter into this space of, public speaking or, different coming up with strategies to help people get out of the rut. That it just came to me when I was working full time to go speak. Now, I never really, it's something I never really created content, but I created content on my own and I volunteered to speak at a trade school.
Okay.
And so when I did that, I really discovered more of my potential. But think about it. I had a full-time career, family, being married. What if I didn't make time to seek that?
That's
and
true.
so I had to really manage my time in starting out to really focus in on what it was that was on the inside of me and how I can make room for that. And so when you take that time and manage it and pursue things that you really haven't tapped into yet fully, then that really puts you in the position to really move forward and meet opportunity.
So if I was to tie that in from a religious standpoint, that is to be still and listen to that calm voice that's giving you directions on what you need to do with your time? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, yes. And I identify 4 areas, because for me it was 4 areas that I had to work on in order to explore that time and manage it and put it in its proper space. And the first part was having a relationship with God. The second part was focusing in on being the person that I was created to be. The third part to it was focusing on my talent, my natural talent, skills, and abilities that I really haven't tapped into. And then the influence that all of us have influence. And so what area was I really called to serve? And so I thought I was called to serve professional athletes.
Okay.
I thought that was my path. But as I began to use my time and set aside time to really focus in on the direction that I needed to go to reach that potential, I recognized that that was not my place.
Okay.
So I had to make room for that. And so it's important to know that, to discover that. I like the quote by Mark Twain said is 2 important days of our life: the day we were born, and then the day we find out why. And so that all goes into that
I feel
time
like Oprah Winfrey
management.
now, having an aha moment. Oh gosh.
Yes. And so it was so interesting. I was reading earlier that everybody's given this space, and it was a part of Ecclesiastics I was reading talk about that it's not. It's important to have the skill, the favor, and when you think of that, but what it all boils down to is everyone is given time and a chance.
True.
And so it's like what you put your hands to is what's important. Taking that time, that area that you really haven't fully developed, you putting your hands to it with all your might and pressing in and managing your time to seek that area of your life.
That's where that faith come in.
Yes.
I like this. I like this a lot. Alrighty. So since you describe time management at a level I've never thought about, let's talk about procrastination. And I think now, since you gave me a different understanding or perspective of time management, according to what you're saying, would time management be you not utilizing the time? Well, you're not utilizing your gifts and talents during the time that you've been given on this planet. Is that what procrastination is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's particularly when you get that, that nudge that you should be trying something out, and then immediately you procrastinate. Or, for example, a person, I'll just go basic, want to return to school, but procrastinating with going up there to find out about the program, or procrastinating about filling out the application, or when they get ready to do it, something just comes up. And so what's associated with that procrastination is either fear, doubt, or uncertainty. So you can be dealing with fear of failure, fear of rejection, doubting that if you apply, even if they accept you, or you uncertain because you may not have the resources at the time to do it. And so that causes a person to just like pull back from what it is that they really should be pursuing. And what it does is it attaches itself because it's really attached to what happened. So you're really looking at what happened.
Okay.
For example, deep down you may have the regret of the decisions you made in the past. Or you pursued school at one time and it just didn't, work out. Or being in a toxic environment that really does not support you going, or unhealthy relationships. So when you think of all those things that could be tied in and attached to you to cause the procrastination, then it produces dominant negative emotions.
Well, let me ask you this. What if it's something very simple like cleaning out a closet? If you've been procrastinating for cleaning out a closet, how would those factors play into the procrastination of not cleaning out the closet?
You're still dealing with something there that's not really causing you to move forward. And see, what I'm beginning to find out is that when you don't take care of this this part of focusing on growing into your potential, everything else is like a fog.
Okay.
And it keeps you in that rut. It's that rhythm of rut where you think you're getting ahead, but you're still producing no results. So it causes you to think that your productivity level is at an all-time high, but then you're not really producing or getting the results that you should get at the level of where your potential needs to be.
Okay,
Does
so
that make sense?
It makes sense, but I want to tie it in so I can
Okay.
get it clear. There's a television show that I like watching. I don't watch it as much because I don't watch TV, but on certain days, and tonight is one of my nights I watch TV. I like
Okay.
World of Dance. But I like the television show Hoarders and Extreme Hoarders.
Ooh.
Because it's not so much of the hoarding, it's the traumatic, something traumatic happened in their life.
Yes.
And the outcome is, how about say the outcome, the result of the traumatic experience that they haven't dealt with is the hoarding. You know, that the hoarding isn't the problem.
No.
It is something underneath that caused that traumatic experience, and the hoarding is something that they're holding on to that's normally associated with the traumatic event that happened in their life. So procrastination, as you're saying, is almost like something, it's associated with something tragic that happened in someone's life, that they're holding on to something. That's the procrastination, is the holding on. And because they're not moving, how can I say it? The procrastination is them holding on to whatever has happened traumatic in their life, that they're not moving forward.
Correct.
Got
It's
it.
they're in a rhythm.
Okay.
But they're not in the rhythm or the rhythm of living their best,
Yes.
being the best that they can be. They're not even operating in their strengths, and that's what procrastination causes one to focus on the weakness.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, what is my perspective? You really have to ask yourself, and I have to ask myself these questions like, what am I fearing? What am I doubting? And what am I uncertain about? And how can you do that? You have to, that cause you to say, okay, I need to change my perspective in this.
Yeah. I know years ago, I was searching for years about what my purpose was, and I thought there had to be something more than life. Then, you know, I may have done it out of order, but had a child, got married, went to college, and it's like that became monotonous. It was very boring.
Yes.
Those things. It was like, it had to be something else, you know, to do in life for Marseille.
Right.
Because you can give yourself to your job. When they get tired of you, they can either, you know, fire you or lay you off. You can give yourself to your child, but your child is going to be with you only a period of time before they move on about their own lives. Spouse, you know, you either grow together, or grow apart, or you end up with a divorce, or you can be married forever and still don't know one another. But it's almost like you born in this world alone, you leave this world alone. So I guess if you're a twin, you don't come out at the same time. So you're still born by yourself. There had to be more to life than just the traditional things that people tell you, who also don't understand that there's more to life. And I started reading a lot of different books, and I really started seeking, you know, and praying, you know, God, make me into the woman you have me to be. Not what I want to be, but what you want me to be. And then once I started doing that, I started going through a whole lot of challenges, a lot of changes. You know, you have to be careful, I find. You have to be careful what you ask for, because it's a journey that you go through, and sometimes the journey you don't expect it, or the journey is something that you sometimes just want to say, forget it.
Right.
You know, let me go back to what's comfortable.
Exactly.
Because this is too much. But I come to find out, well, once I started going through all of those things, it built my character. I always used to think of myself as a diamond in the rough. You know, I'm not diamond, and I don't think I'm in the rough. You know, I am growing leaps and bounds, personally and professionally. Really personally, because I'm starting now to look at myself and really think about some of the things that I want to accomplish in life, and what do I need to change about myself on the inside in order for me to achieve those goals that I'm going after. So when you're saying, as far as the procrastination, there was a grant that I was writing, and there were several grants I've been writing over the winter, and I knew that I had these deadlines, but I would procrastinate, and then one day I'll feel like writing them, and then for a while I'm like, I'm not doing anything. And what you're saying is true. I had a fear of putting all that work into those grants and thinking I would not receive them. Because anybody who writes grants know it is not a guarantee that you're going to get them, but you put all of that sweat, hard work, that mental thinking into them. And so I went ahead and I did them. I got every last grant that I wrote this winter, and I'm very grateful. So now I'm working on an even larger grant right now, and I had a little procrastination the last couple of days, but yesterday I started working on it a lot more. So I do totally agree with you when you're talking about the procrastination and how it is tied to fear. Tied to fear, and I never want to live in fear. And I found that if you are afraid of something, it's okay to acknowledge it, but then you keep moving forward on it. Let's say about what are the benefits? And see, I guess the questions that I have now are going to be a little different because you've given me a better perspective on time management, because there's so many benefits of time management if you understand what your purpose and your calling is. But let's go back to if you're seeking. How do people seek what their purpose is in life?
It starts with, and this is what I come to discover for myself, when you mention how we were culturally, in society was taught, to get the education. Get the car, get the, marriage, and
get the house,
and
all the
all
things
of those are
debt.
doing, and it's not being.
Yes.
And it's so funny. I looked at the definition of life, and it says a state of being.
Yes.
And so when you think of that, you have to get into that space of who am I? And so all of us was created in the image of God. And so it's really about how can you enter into that space at the highest level that you can go into being in that image. So the further that's why personal growth is so important.
Yes.
It's so important. Words cannot express how important it is. James Allen said, by law, we are growth. And so when we don't grow, what happens is we get out of rhythm and we stay connected to old success.
Yes,
and we try
you're stuck in the past.
Yes, and so we try to grasp a new vision with that old mindset. And so anything that you pursue, you have to have, okay, what is this new mindset? And so procrastination, fear, doubt, and uncertainty is always there. And you don't know. So you have to ask yourself, what are my beliefs? What is my perspective? What are my beliefs? What is my vision? Do I see myself in this vision? And really examining your choice.
And one thing I've learned is when you look at yourself, that is homework.
It is.
That is homework.
It is.
I took some classes at Landmark up in Royal Oak, Landmark Education, and I love those classes. I was invited to go by one of my great aunts who was taking the program, and one thing that program taught me was to have a self-mission. Everybody should have an individual mission. And then something else that was exposed to me was that there's a difference between those who are living and those who are existing. And I gave the scenario. I was so quick to speak, they was asking for speakers to come up there, and I was quick to raise my hand because, I wanted, some people call deliverance. I wanted to know what my purpose was because, the gifts and talents, I totally believe in those things. And I do believe that, you know, like you were saying, that time management. You were born during a certain time in order to execute the gifts and talents that was given to you in order to help mankind. And so I got out there and I spoke, and we were talking about people who live in the stands and people who play on the court. And I gave the scenario whereas I like being in the stands because most of the people I know are in the stands. But the people in the stands are so critical of the people who are on the court. And see, the people on the court was the ones who were doing what they were created to do. But the people in the stands were critical because the people on the court was making what they consider was a mistake, or they were judgmental because, well, I wouldn't do stuff like that. And then I closed by saying, even though I like the people in the stands, but I have to leave them because I want more out of life. So I go down and play on the court. And, you know, I talked about how I would pull people from the stands onto the court, and they always wanted to go back to the court. And that I've come to learn that I'm on this journey by myself. And if there's anyone who wants to go with me, you're more than welcome to. But I am enjoying my journey and living my time management to the fullest, because I want to make sure that I am doing everything that I'm supposed to do while I am alive, because I don't believe in world peace. I don't. Personally, because world peace is within all of us. And because we have so many unhappy people, we will never have something that's called world peace. I think it's designed for us not to have world peace because everyone is going through, we have a drug epidemic that was intentionally put in place. We have a lot of mental illness that's going on. We have so many things that we as humans are dealing with. So for me, it is to utilize my time management. I thank you so much for that. I really do. I feel like Oprah in that aha moment. And that procrastination. Now I understand when that procrastination pops up, I'm going to start asking my questions. You know, what am I afraid of? To me, the only thing you can be afraid of is success. You can't be afraid of failure.
Exactly.
You can only be afraid of success. And success is what you call, you know, what you measure it as to be. I know someone was telling me, you know, I want you to be successful. And I turned around and told them, I'm already successful.
Yes.
And they said, well, I want you to be, no, I'm already successful. I don't need anyone to validate me, because I validate myself based upon what I've asked God to help me with. So I don't need validation from anyone else. But
Never do that again.
oh, yeah. Like I said, you got a lot of unhappy people. And
Yes.
it's amazing. The most unhappiest people are always the one that's trying to give you advice.
Yes, because really that procrastination is associated with discouragement. So when you constantly battle with those, when they see these negative emotions, when they become dominant in your life, it turns into discouragement, then leads to distractions. And so a person will seek pleasure over purpose and thinking that they're still getting the results. But I find out, even with the research, I don't want to go too deep, with the brain, the way our brain is wired, and I talk about that in the Desires of the Heart Workshop, that dread and desire is in the same part of our brain. And so that dread is associated with discouragement and procrastination and all those negative emotions. But what happens is it can still produce that same reward, the dopamine that desire can produce, but it's a false reward.
Something that I'm learning is you have to unlearn a lot of things that we've been taught for centuries and passed down from generation to generation. Tulani, our time is running out. Didn't I tell you it was going to go by fast?
Yes, it did go by fast.
You know I'm going to ask you to come back. But I do know that you have prayer on Wednesday mornings.
Yes.
And I used to participate, just a little bit too early for me. But if you don't mind, if you would like for people to participate, would you like to give the number?
You know what?
And I did ask you something spontaneously.
Yes,
and the reason why I did, because, you know, I want people to be able to connect. And connect in a way whereas they are living their purpose and they're contributing to society. Because there is honestly a difference between living and existing. And I choose to have a life where I am living and people will see my light wherever I go, wherever I've been, because if I'm not there, somebody should have said, well, Marseille's been there. Or you can tell that's Marseille's because of this and because of that. And so I really want people to become the best person they were created to be, because we need all the soldiers that we can get on this planet to do what was created to do.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Okay, the dial-in number is 712-775-7035, and the access code is 906417. I'll read it one more time. It's 712-775-7035. Access code 906417.
And if you didn't get that number, you're more than welcome to give us a call at Chia Adult Skills Center at 810-553-2140. Again, if you did not receive that number for Wednesday prayer with Tulani Person, you can give us a call at Chia Adult Skills Center at 810-553-2140. Now, Tulani, I really felt as though I did something today. All righty. Al, you have anything you want to say?
I'm good, baby.
All right, listeners, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to having you on next week. Have a good week.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to Chia Use of Knowledge is Power broadcast with your host, Dr. Marseille Wells-Strozier. You can contact Chia Adult Skills Center at 810-553-2140 or online at www.mychea.org. Join them again.